In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Matador Arms Montgo-9 9mm direct blowback upper receiver. I'm going to take you through the features of the Montgo-9 on the tabletop here. Then I'm going to take it out to the range and test it on the clock at some matches. The Montgo-9 upper is chambered 9mm and it is set up to work with Glock 17 or 19 magazines or Sig 320 magazines. You can use it with a dedicated 9mm lower such as this KE Arms KE9 that takes Glock magazines, or you can use a magazine conversion block such as those offered by Matador Arms themselves to convert your 5.56 lower to be capable of working with it. It is not compatible with Colt Smg magazines, MPX magazines, or Scorpion magazines, even if you have a lower that accepts any of those. It can only feed from a single column feed at the top of the magazine, like the Glock 17, 19, or Sig 320. Separating the upper from the lower makes the most notable feature of the Montgo-9 obvious in that the recoil spring assembly is contained fully in the upper receiver, which allows the use of rail adapter systems to attach different MCX or MPX style stocks, or potentially other side folding stock assemblies on the lower you have this mounted to. One such side folding stock assembly is that offered by Matador Arms themselves that I have attached to this registered SBR lower. It has a nice button release there to fold it back out, push in on that, snaps into place relatively easily. Once again, in on the button, locks on the locking mechanism there, push in on that, locks into place easily. So if you want to use it with an AR style buffer tube to have adjustable lengths of pull, you can do that with the adapter offered by Matador Arms. The barrel is 5.5 inches long, made from 4140 and nitride coated. The thread pitch of the muzzle is 1/2 28, and it ships with this thread protector that I took off camera. That is the same thread pitch as standard AR-15 muzzle devices, but make sure the muzzle device that you're using has a 9mm bore so you do not suffer a catastrophic failure like you would when you use a 5.56 muzzle device on a 9mm barrel. Because the rail is taller, you may want to consider using shorter height iron sights like these Troys intended for use on gas piston uppers, and lower optic mounts. This is an ADM intended for use on HK416s and other similar gas piston uppers that have taller rails. Doing this will give you a better cheek weld when using it in a rifle configuration, and it will make the sights lower to the bore, which gives you less deviation in point of aim versus point of impact at distance. The upper attaches and detaches from the lower like any other AR, but before I separate it, I want to point out one thing at the back here. There is a screw that we have to take out to field strip the upper, but what I want to show here is that you don't have any risk of the screw backing out because it is blocked from coming out by the lower itself. So that is a good idea. So you're never going to want to Loctite that screw because you're going to have to take it apart to get the bolt out of the back of the upper. Okay, getting that all apart on camera was a bit too tricky. Losing depth perception looking through the camera while doing disassembly is always a challenge. So once this is apart, what it really reminds me of is if a SCAR and a MAC-10 had a baby. The bolt looks very MAC-10ish to me, and of course the upper, with the way it's made and the barrel trunnion being retained by these screws, is very reminiscent of the SCAR. So I'm going to try to put it back together on camera, and we'll see how that goes. So this is the front piece that the charging handle goes into. So I'm going to load that into the upper first. I think I can do that from the front. So there's that. I'm going to get it into place so I can put the charging handle in. Again, this is how I would run it left-handed. Okay. The bolt slides into the, lack of a better term, operating rod, like so, from the side into this dovetail. And that is going to get loaded in from the back. A little bit of a snug fit there at the back of the upper. So now that's in. I will load in the recoil spring assembly. And once that's in, line that up. And then this piece is loaded in behind it. And I need to line that up and push it upward. There we go. Use the screwdriver flat blade to push that up into place. Then this slides in, and then secure the screw. Pop the lower back on, and there it is. Now that it's back together in SBR mode, I'm going to take it out and put it on the clock. I don't normally show the make ready sequence, but I'm doing it here deliberately because there's going to be a problem than the first couple shots fired on this stage. What's the start position?
Butt on belt. Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
After the first shot fired, the dot dims, and after the second shot, the dot disappears entirely. Deploy backup iron sights to finish the stage. Tracking moving targets like these Texas stars through iron sights is much more challenging, and there is lighting on this bay that is reflecting off my sights coming from the rear. Not ideal. The Montgo-9 does not have last round bolt hole open, so it's important that I reload proactively before shooting empty. Reloads while moving are free anyway, time-wise, versus shooting empty and reloading in a standing position. I'm going to include the make ready and unload and show clear sequences just so you can see more manipulations with the gun.
Slide forward, hammer down.
Well, the dot is turning off under recoil, so it is coming off. Iron sights the rest of the night. I'm shooting the stage again in iron sights division with the dot removed.
Are you ready?
I've also switched out my glasses for my clear ones as the sun goes down. You can pretty much see everything you need to see from two different corners on the stage. I'm going to engage left to right from the rightmost position, and then I'm going to reload on the move, going across the range, and again engage everything I see left to right. I don't have any difficulty inserting full magazines on a closed bolt. Nonetheless, I always give them a slight pull to make sure they're fully seated and locked in.
If you're finished, I'm on show clear.
From this first position, you got to knock down the popper and knock down this plate rack. I get lucky and two plates go down with one hit. Move across the range and repeat this process. After this position, the shooter has the choice of shooting from a further box or going all the way forward. I opt to shoot from the further box versus going further forward. There are heavy buckshot plates because this is a PCC and shotgun match, so I really have to rock those heavier plates to knock them over. I end up neutralizing everything with one round left in the chamber and an empty magazine.
If you're finished, unload and show clear.
Demonstrating here that you can lock the bolt back even though the last run bolt hole open does not function. This is handy administratively for loading your first magazine. Pretty straightforward stage, 4 targets from the start box, 2 different shooting ports with 4 targets each, and from the final position there are partially obscured poppers. Those would normally launch clay pigeons into the air for shotgun division shooters, but because I'm not shooting with those, I have to hit these further plates out there with 2 hits each. You can see some of the casings flying past my arm. As a left-handed shooter, I had zero problems with the ejection pattern of this gun. None of the casings hit my arm or made me uncomfortable in any way.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
This is the last stage of the match, and as is usual, I feel like it's my best stage as I've gotten used to running the gun and maintaining a sight picture through recoil. I do plan on using this again in the future with a red dot and seeing how hard I can push the speed. Most of my delay in shooting here is making sure I have a good clean sight picture with all the variable lighting conditions that happen as the sun goes down and the stadium lights come on. You can see on this target array and spinner here that I can still shoot pretty fast with iron sights when I do have a good sight picture and the light reflection isn't messing with me.
If you're finished, unload and show clear.
Well, there were only 2 people in iron sight division, so I'm going to show overall results. I can definitely see why people would shoot in open PCC with an optic at this match given the lighting conditions in the evening. Open division shotguns followed by open division PCCs dominate the match. What we can see from my results is the confirmation that the more familiarity I got with it, the better I placed on each individual stage with a generally upward trend from the first stage through the last stage. Well guys, that is the Montgo-9 by Matador Arms, a very compact, fast handling package. Very little recoil for what it is for being a direct blowback system. Unfortunately, my Spark Solar was dying the first round fired every time. I did put about 400 rounds to this gun and zeroing in practice before the match, and it was working fine then. This same sight's been on one of my BRN 180s for a long time and it had no problem, but perhaps the increased recoil impulse of the blowback system was making it flicker on and off. So I had to switch to iron sights for the rest of the match. This is going to be going back to Vortex for warranty, see what's wrong with it. But absolutely no problems with the Montgo-9. Very happy with how it handled. And coming up on the channel, I'm going to be doing some customization to this that I think you guys will find really cool. If you like this kind of content, consider supporting us on Patreon. Thanks for watching.